Welcome to today's Explainer. I am genuinely so glad you're joining me, because today we're looking at something that is just profoundly moving. We're unpacking a story beautifully titled The Dream Between Responsibilities, Anatomy of a Middle-Class Struggle. I want to set a slightly different tone for our time together today. It's going to be reflective, intimate, and honestly, pretty emotional. We're going to break down the true anatomy of a family's quiet endurance, looking at the structural, day-to-day realities of a young man named Ali, a 19-year-old student living in Pakistan. And you know, this isn't just one boy's story. It is a blueprint of the invisible sacrifices happening all around us every single day.
They don't dream because life is easy. They dream because they refuse to give up. Let's dive right into this. In every city in Pakistan, and honestly, in countless cities across the globe, there's this massive demographic of young men and women whose stories are almost entirely invisible to the wider world. Their ambition isn't born out of luxury. It doesn't come from abundant opportunity. Their ambition is literally a survival mechanism. It's born out of absolute necessity. They refuse to let their dreams die, because letting them die means giving up on the people they love the most.
Section 1. The Invisible Middle Class and the Silent Calculation.
Picture this. It's dawn in a modest neighborhood. The call to prayer is echoing through these narrow streets. Tea stalls are just beginning to open up, and inside Ali's home, a really simple breakfast is being prepared. His mother, an incredibly hardworking homemaker, tells him to eat before he heads off to college. But Ali just replies, "I'm not hungry, Ammi." This right here, this is the silent calculation. He isn't skipping breakfast because he's running late. He's making a quiet, mathematical choice. He knows there simply isn't enough food for everyone. Meanwhile, his father, a government clerk who earns barely enough to keep them afloat, is looking through his wallet. He's quietly calculating the electricity bill, the gas bill, and Ali's college fees, just murmuring to himself that they'll manage somehow. The day hasn't even fully started, and the sheer weight of survival is already sitting right there at the kitchen table.
Section 2. A family's silent sacrifices. Ali's burden isn't carried alone, right? It's shared by this entire ecosystem of quiet endurance. Imagine it's late at night, the house is totally quiet. Ali walks in and discovers his father sitting alone, meticulously repairing a pair of old, worn-out shoes. When Ali asks him, "Abba, why don't you just buy another pair?" his father just smiles and says, "These still work." Listen, his father didn't just decide to be frugal that day. His father actively postponed buying basic necessities for himself, like a simple new pair of shoes, specifically so he could afford to pay Ali's university admission fee. He is literally walking on worn soles so his son can step into a better future.
And the mother's sacrifice is just as profound. She tells everyone in the family, "I don't need anything this Eid." But behind closed doors, she is taking on this secret labor of love. She spends weeks quietly stitching old clothes, repairing and altering them just to make them look brand new for her kids. She completely forsakes her own needs, totally erasing her own desires for the holidays, just to make sure her children can hold their heads high and celebrate with dignity. This is the invisible foundation Ali is building his life upon. But what happens when Ali steps out of that protective, sacrificing home and into the real world?
Section 3. Navigating Pressure and Reality.
There is a really stark psychological contrast at play here. On one side, we have the privileged world of Ali's peers at college. They're having these casual, everyday conversations about choosing the latest expensive smartphones, chatting about upcoming vacations abroad, hanging out in expensive cafes. Then, on the other side, we have Ali's daily reality. He can't afford a bike, so he faces this grueling daily commute on an overcrowded bus. While his peers discuss luxury, Ali is quietly studying from worn-out notes, holding a very different kind of anxiety in his chest. He's worrying if the bus fare is going to increase next month. It is a completely different mental landscape.
Let's take this comparison even further. Just look at their afternoons. On one hand, his friends are ordering fast food at lunch and heading out to the cinema the second class is over. On the other hand, Ali smiles through his college day, but he remains completely silent about his struggles. His lunch is homemade bread and leftover vegetables, and he drinks tap water while everyone else eats out. But his day doesn't end after class. To afford his own books and to help out with those household bills his father was stressing over at breakfast, Ali heads to a tuition center to teach children. So when his friends are kicking back in a movie theater, Ali is carrying groceries home in the evening. His responsibilities are entirely hidden from the very people he spends his days with.
And as if the internal pressure isn't enough, there's this intense external social pressure too. Look at your cousin. He already owns a car. When are you going to start earning? This happens all the time at family gatherings. Relatives are so quick to judge. They look at Ali, who is grinding away invisibly, and they compare him to the superficial, highly visible success of others. And Ollie? He just has to sit there, hiding his immense disappointment and exhaustion, and simply smile politely.
Section 4. When dreams meet responsibilities.
So how does a 19-year-old process all of this weight without breaking? Well, it's 2 a.m. Ollie is still awake, studying. Suddenly, the electricity goes out, which is a super common occurrence. He clicks on a small rechargeable lamp, and in the dim light you can read the goals written in his notebook. Graduate with distinction, support parents, give sister the education she deserves, because remember, she has her own dream of becoming a doctor. Build a better future. Notice what is not on this list? There's no mention of a sports car, a luxury watch, or some fancy vacation. Middle-class dreams are rarely about personal luxury. The fundamental drive of his ambition is entirely rooted in making life easier for the people he loves. That is his anchor.
But hey, having a noble goal doesn't somehow magically make the path easy. Step 1, he finally graduates. But then comes Step 2, the agonizing wait. Months pass as he submits endless job applications. Step 3 is the emotional toll, facing heavy, repeated rejections. Every single rejection feels heavier than the last, compounding the pressure of his father's worn-out shoes and his mother's stitched clothes. But Step 4 is absolutely critical, refusing to quit.
And right at his breaking point, a phone rings one morning. The recruiter is on the line. "Congratulations, Ollie. We'd like to offer you the position." Ollie just freezes. Tears fill his eyes. He looks over at his parents. His father is smiling with this unshakable pride, and his mother is quietly thanking God. So I have to ask you, how do you measure true success? When that first paycheck finally clears, what does success actually look like?
Section 5. Redefining true success.
Look at how a 19-year-old completely flips the script on what you're supposed to do with a first real paycheck. When it comes to tech and gadgets, you'd expect a young guy who has been staring at his friends' expensive phones to finally buy a brand new smartphone for himself, right? Instead, Ali buys medicine for his grandmother, whose prayers and wisdom guided him the whole way. For expenses, instead of personal luxury items or treating himself to a fancy dinner out, he immediately pays part of the household electricity bill, taking that crushing burden off his father. And for fashion, instead of buying designer clothes for himself to show off to those judgmental relatives, he buys new shoes for his father and brings his mother the dress she refused to buy for herself for all those years. His success is entirely a communal victory.
Which brings us to this powerful realization. Success is not measured by expensive cars or large houses. Sometimes success is seeing your parents smile after years of sacrifice. We see the family sitting down to eat dinner together. The house hasn't miraculously become a mansion. It isn't luxurious, but the atmosphere has fundamentally shifted. It's a home that is finally filled with profound, radiant hope. I want to leave you with this final, really important thought today. Respect the struggle you cannot see. Every middle-class family has a story worth telling. Behind every quiet student on the bus, behind every friend who orders tap water while you eat, there might just be an entire family sacrificing silently, and a dream that absolutely refuses to die. So I ask you, the next time you look at the people around you, will you see past the surface? Will you recognize the invisible battles being fought every single day? Thank you for exploring this incredibly moving story with me today. I really hope it changes the way you view the world around you.